Well, good morning. Today is Friday, November 6th, 2020. Just a few days after the election, still an uncertainty there. Not so uncertain, but it's everything's being challenged. So in that sense, it's still uncertain. And they can't seem to release the results to make it final, but it looks pretty clear that former Vice President Joe Biden will get the state of Nevada at the very least and claim the electoral college total that will elect him to be president. So that's what seems to be going on. I just checked before I got on the call. It's unchanged from last night. Who knows when we'll get an answer. So I thought I would go back to the opening first morning when we opened up this course. And I was talking about the 9 steps of heart development. The first 3 are really the development more of the mind, the next 3 of the heart, and the next 3 of spiritual development. And of course, the mind is more powerful when infused by the power of the heart. And spiritual development takes on a whole new character when it's infused with the power of the heart, with the qualities of the heart, the divine qualities of the heart. I sent out in my email, I called for last night, scheduled for this morning, that we would look at the issue of control in our lives this morning. And that's partly because when I look at this election, I feel like I don't have a lot of power. And the invitation is for everyone to look in their lives and find where you feel powerless, where you feel out of control. And we'll explore those both in our personal life, and we'll just pick the election because it's still sort of fresh, it's getting almost boring at this point, but there's still a lot of power in it. So that's what I'm looking at this morning. So if everyone could just check and maybe ask that question, where am I powerless, or where am I out of control? And how do I feel about that? And of course, this ties in to the 3 temptations. At one point, Satan, the adversary, says that Jesus has been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And by the way, just as a point of interest, a biblical fast means no food and no water. That sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But when I was connected very much to a Native American prayer clan, it was a Cree prayer clan with roots at Rocky Boy, Montana, more properly translated as Stone Child. But there they'd have us fast for 4 days with no food and no water. One of the prayer clan leaders, I helped him in a fast of 7 days with no food and no water. And the elders of that tribe on that reservation would talk about their ancestors doing 40 days and 40 nights without food and water. It's like, okay, so maybe Jesus did that. I don't know. But I guess that's totally a side story here, a sidebar. But so Jesus has fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. The adversary, the opponent, appears before him and says, turn these stones into bread. You know, if your connection with God is so great, you know, Jesus says, thou shalt not test the Lord thy God. But that's A classic example of power, a test of power. Can we use it just to fulfill our personal desires? And on one level, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, as long as it's in alignment with the divine plan, with the force of nature, force of evolution. And of course, that opens up a huge question. How do we know when we're in alignment and when we're not? And we'll just explore that also. What's the right use of power? A lot of energy on that one. I can feel that. All right, with that, let's just get started on our meditation, that we might move into our hearts to explore these fields of energy within us. So let's sit up straight, feet on the floor, maybe pull our shoulders back and relax them. Allow our spines to become erect just to where it's comfortable. We're struggling, we cannot meditate. We just focus on the struggle. And let's just begin with our traditional hands on our heart posture. And just say, good morning, heart. And as always, just check in. What's your state now? How does it compare to just a few minutes ago? One reason I keep nudging you all to do this is it develops our inner sensitivity. The more we check in, the easier it becomes to feel our heartbeat, to feel the sensations in our body and in our energetic field when issues come up. Once we notice it, once we can feel it, we can heal it. Just let your hands come down when you're ready. And let's just spend a few minutes saying good morning to our breath, to our entire respiratory system. Our nostrils, our bronchial tubes, our lungs. See if when I mention those, you might experience them as separate parts of a whole system. Our nose, our nostrils, our bronchial tube, our lungs. At this point, no need to change anything, just notice. Simply paying attention to is a form of loving. And maybe compare it to how you noticed your respiratory system yesterday. One thing you might add in is, how tight is your jaw? That impacts our breath. It certainly impacts our speaking voice, which is a great barometer for how integrated we are. And now let's move into our full breath, where we just begin to inhale fully and exhale fully, using our abdominal muscles, pulling them all the way back toward the spine on the exhale. And gradually releasing them for a full, slow, stately, majestic inhale. I was reading an email from a chiropractor who has a great deal of Ayurvedic experience. And he sent out an email yesterday talking about breath. He's a big fan of breath, just like we are. And he says that there's really great evidence now. He pulls in a lot of science to breathing. And he says there's great evidence saying that as we engage our abdominal muscles, really our diaphragm is what we're doing, that in our breath, that the diaphragmatic muscle, when it's used well, is a great pump for the system we have for removing toxins from our body. I'm having a little brain freeze in the name of that fluid. Our lymphatic fluid. Thank you. And as we breathe with this full breath, the diaphragm pumps, in effect, is a great pump for the lymphatic system. Everyone knew that our body motion moved the lymphatic fluid. But the diaphragm is the big pump. And as we breathe, particularly as we breathe fully, the lymphatic system is cleansing and purifying all of the organs. It stimulates the release of toxins, for example, in the liver, into the lymphatic system so that it can be released, be purified. So this full breath is a very purifying breath. And by the way, it turns out, this is from a different email, that we have more lymphatic fluid in our body than we do blood, making the lymphatic system, the purification system, the removal of toxins system, the largest circulatory system in our body. And this deep breathing activates it. Cerebrospinal fluid dumps into the lymphatic system. Apparently dumps 3 pounds of toxins over the course of a year from the brain into the lymphatic system to be discharged from our own system. And now let's move into our classic heart rhythm meditation. My personal nod of gratitude to Puran and Susanna Bear for the 35 years at least of living their lives to bring this knowledge to the world. Who have become truly extraordinary, heart-centered people, both of them. Deeply intuitive, living their lives with great guidance. So now we begin our heart rhythm meditation, inhaling the full breath to the count of, say, 8 heartbeats, exhaling to that same count, whatever that is for you. Call in your name for your heartbeat. Begin this process of heart breathing, where we pull the energy directly into our heart to that count of 8, fill up the heart with energy, and then we exhale and send that energy out to all creation. Now that I mentioned Susanna and Puran living their life based on guidance, let's just shift into the swinging breath now, which is classically a breath used for guidance. So in the swinging breath, just as a review, we'll inhale from the front to our count of 8 or whatever heartbeats. Fill up our heart with breath, energy, and then exhale out of the back of our heart. Exhaling, connecting back to the vast universal body, the spiritual hierarchy. All these great souls who have our back. And then we inhale into our heart from the back to the same count. Fill up our heart, then exhale out to the front. I'll go through that one more time. We inhale through the front of our heart, filling up our heart to the count of 8 heartbeats. We exhale out to the back, connecting to these masters robed, these saints robed in white, as described in Revelation. And then on the inhale, we bring the energy back from these great masters and saints of the spiritual hierarchy. Fill up our heart, and then exhale out to the front. Let's just continue this pattern for a while. And notice that as we inhale, we bring in the wisdom of creation. And then as we exhale back, we're delivering that information to the spiritual hierarchy, who take it in and process it and use it for guidance. And as we inhale from the back, we pull in wisdom from the spiritual hierarchy. And as we exhale, we pour that wisdom out, blessing all of creation with it. And if there's some part of your life that you have a question, you don't know where to go, what to do, may I invite you to throw that question out to the universe as you exhale. Inhale, we allow that response, that guidance to come to us. We just ask the question once. You could answer twice each direction if you want, but really just once is enough. And then we just wait. Just continue the breath and just wait. And maybe we get an answer now, maybe not. Could we just surrender and allow our heart and allow these great beings, wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of spirit, to reply when and how it's most appropriate, when and how we can hear the message. What that means is we just wait and allow the message to show up, the guidance to show up. It could be a crystal clear statement. It could be something we see. It could be a sign on a billboard, or something a friend just says to us and it rings true and you go, okay, that's the guidance. And would it be okay with us to live our lives through guidance? Just check in. How has it worked using our mind to make decisions about our life? To be fair, sometimes it works well. It really works well for most of the small decisions. Would it be okay with us on the major decisions, on the out-of-the-box decisions, on the challenging decisions? We allowed our hearts, the spiritual value of creation, to guide us. How would that work? I know I can tell you my experience is using fear to guide my life. It leaves me in a very weak position. I imagine it's true for you also. It's not to say there's no intelligence in fear. Sometimes it's right spot on. We're afraid to touch a hot stove or a hot pot. Very reasonable decision. But consider the baggage of fear. Let's just ask ourselves, would it be okay with us as we continue this breathing if we let go of using fear and just used our common sense instead to protect us? I think we can trust our common sense to show up without the rapidly beating heart, the high blood pressure, the adrenal push, the rush, for situations that simply don't require this heavy flight or fight response. Would it be okay with us if we just checked in with our deep intuition, with the depth of our heart? See if fear is justified or not. If it is, of course we engage it. But 90% of the time in today's society, there is no saber-toothed tiger out there. There is just a challenging situation, best handled by the depths, from the depths of our heart. Could we allow our nervous system to support our health through the lens of our heart, through the lens of our intuition, through the lens of our common sense? Notice this is also the forward and backward dimensions of the heart we're playing with here. As we breathe forward and back, we access this energy pattern that lets our heart energy go forward to open up the door to our success in life, whether that be in career or family or art or love, relationships. Is it okay with us if we harness this power of our heart to move forward? Check to see if there's any fear to stepping forward with courage and boldness, with the confidence of having divine beings at our back. Could you just say yes to that? That's okay to step forward with confidence and love. to step forth with power. And let's look at the back of the dimension to the back of our heart now. As we exhale out our back and inhale from our back. Let's just go this direction. We'll end the swing breath here and just do the back direction of the heart. Just to develop this habit, open up this doorway. For some people, it's a challenge to do this, but it's just practice. So please just do it the best you can. Inhale, we fill up from the back. Exhale, we breathe out to the back. Would it be okay with us? I'll ask this question again. If we welcome guidance from these great spiritual beings, these great servants of the one heart, and just ask your heart, do these beings have my highest good in their hearts? Just check to see if it's okay with you to accept that, to say yes to that, to trust that. I know there are some with a concern that there are false energies out there waiting to just have fun and trick us. These are usually very low-level energies. They may be there. I think they're there. Would it be okay with you if you tapped into the discerning power of your heart to verify any guidance you receive from these heart-centered beings, these beings of great love and wisdom and power? Would it be okay with you to trust that you have this ability to discern the true nature, the truth of guidance? Now let's just breathe in and out of our hearts as we explore the relationship between guidance and power, the relationship between power and control. So what I ask you to do now is to just check in and where do you feel a lack of control in your life? You can go right away to this election if you'd like, or just go in your own life. The benefit is really about the same. There's a little bit of a difference for cleaning out energy on a cultural level. But no point in going there until you've cleared out this energy yourself internally. So where are you feeling out of control in your life? One way of measuring that is, where do you feel like everyone else has all the power? Or like here with this election. At this point, we watch sort of helplessly at the election results. We may have voted, we may have expressed our opinion to our friends, signed petitions, all that sort of a thing. But how empowered do you feel in this political system? Just welcome up the feeling of having no power, this lacking feeling. How does that feel? And do you feel that in your field? Do you feel that in your body? Now, our power chakra is really the third center, our solar plexus, right at the base of our sternum, the base of our rib cage in the front. It's a fire center, the solar plexus, the sun. It's our inner sun within us. So let's just move into the fire breath to add some power into our life, to add some control into our life. With the fire breath, just to review, inhale through slightly open lips, breathing in directly, not into the heart, but into our solar plexus, and filling up the solar plexus with energy. And then it's optional, but it's nice to hold the breath and let the heat and the fire build up in our solar plexus. Then let the light rise up, keep the heat there, and exhaling through our nostrils. The light moves out of our heart, blessing creation. Inhale through slightly open lips. Hold, build up the heat, let the light rise, exhaling through our nostrils. And just let that sort of become an easy way to breathe, maybe giving up the holding at some point. Just while we explore this lacking control feeling. Do we like this lacking control feeling? I've never met a person yet who likes it. When we're lacking control, it's a variety of being a victim. When everyone else has the control, I don't have any control. The invitation here is to feel this feeling. Welcome it up, this lacking control feeling, and just be with it. And perhaps we can all notice that the minute we choose to be with this energy, we are suddenly in control. We are controlling our own energy. We are controlling our own awareness. Could we give ourselves some love and approval for taking this simple step of claiming control? And again, check in. With whom do you feel out of control? Kids, parents, co-workers, boss, employees, if you have your own business. Yeah, you think I'm an employer, you think we control our employees to a degree, to a degree, but there's big sections where we have no control. Guess I could breathe that in. Where are you feeling out of control? Can you just be with that feeling? Can you love that feeling? Can you either let that feeling go or hold on to it for motivation? If it's useful, hold on to it. If it's just a wound that you want to heal, we just let it go. We offer it to be realigned, the universal force of evolution. One more time. Where else or with whom else do you feel out of control? Who can't you make do what you want them to do? Who do you want to fix? That's a wanting control experience. Could you let go? Could you welcome up this wanting to control feeling and lacking control and just be with it? Whenever I teach, I have to consciously let go of wanting the students to get it. Because inside of that, I mean, it sounds like a normal desire, a nice, sweet desire. But at the depth of that, there is this sense of fear they're not getting it, that you're not getting it. And if I'm holding this fear that you're not getting it, how effective can I be as a teacher? No, I'm putting out the wrong energy at a very faint and subtle level. Who do you want to get it in your life? And can you welcome up that lacking feeling and just be with it? Could you allow it to be okay that the people we want to change, even if it's in a helpful sense, it's okay if they accept what they can accept? Could you give them that freedom? All these people we want to control, fix, change, could you give them that freedom to take in what they're ready to take in what works for them? Could you give them the freedom to evolve in their own way when and how they are ready? And that means spiritual evolution or even social growth. If a friend has a bad habit that you want to fix them to fix it because their lives would get so much better, could you let them have that habit? Would it be okay with us if we let go of being responsible for everyone in creation? That's a relief, isn't it? Can we all check to see where we feel responsible for fixing creation? I mentioned my mission of healing the heart of America. And almost all the time, I have to let go of this lacking feeling of wanting to control the heart of America. Check to see if you have a wanting to create a culture of the heart, a perfectly beautiful intention. Could we allow it to be an intention and let go of any sense of obligation and fear underneath that intention? Check to see if you have the desire, and I'll say it on both sides, if you have the desire of a classical Democrat, let's go left side of the Democratic Party, who feel responsible for our country, who have the sense that the only way we're going to move into the new America, the compassionate America, is if the Democrats win. And just check to see what fear and neediness is behind what could be a really beautiful, pure intention. Freely seeing this is the way to go. The old way hasn't been working. But just check for the underlying energy, the fear, the attachment, the wanting to control, the out of control feeling, the desperate feeling that we have to win the Senate to really affect any real change. Could you welcome up all of these feelings and just be with them? Be with them, love them, honor them. And could you welcome them up and let them shift into the divine quality of purity? Would it be okay with us if we have a pure heart? And from that pure heart, innocently and easily allow for the intention of everyone being fed, everyone being clothed and sheltered, everyone having equal rights in the criminal justice system, everyone having equal opportunity, everyone having a sense of being cherished and loved by our entire nation. And then just let the intention go and recognize the power of holding an intention at the depth of our heart. And let's look at the other side. If you swing more towards the conservative traditional values, Where do you feel out of control? You see the rioting. How much control do you feel there? You get this sense of all the traditional values of America being attacked, being replaced with government control, socialism. Can you welcome up that fear that the world is changing and we don't have any control over it? Can you welcome that up? In fact, if you're on the Democratic side, you may have that same feeling. The Senate and the House both, did not go in a blue wave. How much control do we have there? For all of our wanting, all of our desperately needing a shift to feel safe, can we welcome up all of that and feel it and let that shift into any divine quality? I'm just using the word purity today because it's come up for me. Can we let all that energy shift into the divine quality of purity of heart? Whatever our fear about the future, whatever our fear about the direction of America, whether we're going afraid of going backward or afraid of going forward, can we welcome up that fear? See that the fear is really a debilitating form of an energy drain and energy weakness. And would it be okay with us if we use that energy either to transform it or as a source of motivation, all the while sitting in the inner purity of our hearts, the inner depth of our hearts? And left or right, can we come together and realize, however we see the process of getting there, everyone, left and right, would like to see everyone fed, everyone clothed, everyone sheltered, everyone healthy. And we may disagree on how we get there. Can we see we all want a clean environment, whether or not we believe in climate change or not? You ask anyone and they'll say, yes, I want clean air. I want clean water. I want healthy food. Could we allow ourselves to see we all have the same basic desires of the heart? We all want peace. And yes, there may be few very tortured souls way on the outlying edges with such trauma that they might have different desires. But can we see how few they are? Way right, way left. The vast majority of us share these same values. It's just a question of how we get there. That's the whole debate. And can we just hold this as a vision for our own countries, wherever we live? The peace, the prosperity, the health, the freedom, equality, the brotherhood, the love, the true culture of the heart. Can we just hold that picture and let it go? Can we trust the force of evolution, the spiritual hierarchy, to fulfill that intention? Our power lies in how much trust, how much faith we have. And now let's just let that intention go. Bring this meditation to a close. Feel your feet touching the earth. Let's take our traditional walk through our day, bringing the energy of our heart forward to bless breakfast, morning work, lunch, afternoon, dinner, evening time. Is it okay with us if we walk through this with a pure heart, filled with love, bringing love to our day, to everyone, so-called friend, so-called foe? Can we see at their depths, everyone is a part of the one heart, and act from that purity of vision? And now just take a minute or two to open your eyes, maybe shift your body around, whatever tradition you have for coming out of meditation. Thank you all for joining us today. This is the end of our formal program. May you all be blessed for joining us. Now we start our optional segment where we share gains, or if anyone is stirred up from the meditation or from anything in your personal life. We are here to help you, to support you, knowing that as that happens, we ourselves go deeper into our hearts. Hello, Bobby's cat. Yeah. So just unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment. Powerless and okay with that. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, that's a nice angle there, isn't it? Totally. In I Am Heart, we have this really useful teaching. I'm just so amazed with what Pran and Susanna comes up with. So you know how in the personal development world, there's in the spiritual world, there's really two schools of thought. There's like, oh, we're all co-creators. And the other is, no, we're just going to surrender. Surrender. Peron and Susanna saw that and they said there's really three paths. Path of the saint, which is the path of surrender. The path of the master, which is that co-creation. And in the middle is the path of the prophet, which works with both qualities. And what Robert mentioned in his chat comment, powerless and happy with it, that's truly a place for the saint. Totally at peace with being completely surrendered, accepting everything as perfect just the way it is, not wanting to change a thing, simply living their lives in service and devotion. Many different ways of doing that. And the masters are more focused, picking up power, gaining mastery. The more they can do it through their heart, the more powerful they become. The more they can let go of the underlying hidden traumas, the more they step in that mastery. And what happens is all of us ultimately develop both sides of this and move into the prophetic line, generally with a tendency to be on one side or the other. One way we can tell this is by our breath. So if you're, I have to think, I want to make sure I'm right here. But if your exhale is longer than your inhale, exhale is going out expressing, that's more an indication of a master temperament. If your inhale is longer and deeper than your exhale, that's more of a saintly disposition. If they're equal, it's more the prophetic line. So you may find if you're, in the I Am Heart program, we have this mentoring process, sort of one-on-one meeting once a month where we meet with people, and the job of the mentor is to help fulfill the desires of the mentee, the person being mentored, and help them, fulfill their desires, or their problems, or pressing needs, all the while moving them, using that as a way of moving them along the 9 steps. And that's a great process. But one of the things that they may do, they may ask you, you tend to have more of an exhale or more of an inhale? In their assessment of, are you more of a master or are you more of a saint? And they'll build and balance. Build on your strengths and balance out your weaknesses. It's what we all do. So I'm giving a short lecture here, sorry, but I just thought it might be of interest. Sort of what... you're very kind, Aaron. We'll take that as a gain. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I'm so grateful for all of you. And of course, I've mentioned this before. In my life, I go deepest when I'm teaching. I feel things from you. I hear things from you inner me, and I go to places I don't go to on my own. So I know many of your teachers and do the same thing. I love looking because I look, oh, she's teaching, he's teaching this. It's just fabulous to see the collection of people we have here. And even if you're not teaching, don't worry. Believe me, your energy is teaching. So I'm guessing no one's stirred up. We're all at peace. May I take this as an opportunity? I don't know why I keep thinking of telling this Sufi story. You guys good for a Sufi story? Okay. Because, and if someone needs to work, please speak up. I'm more than happy to do that. It's been so long since I've heard it. I told it a year back or so. But so this is a story of a Sufi master who is on his deathbed, and all of his devotees are hanging around him, you know, dreading this moment when he might pass on. Now, this particular Sufi master had a habit of borrowing money for his school. He said, "This okay? Can I borrow some money?" So also there were some creditors who had lent him money. They were sort of followers too, but they were there worried about how they're going to get repaid if he died. And so they started asking him, could he repay his debts before he died? What a tacky thing to say, right? But that's what was on their hearts. And I'm sure the other devotees were rolling their eyes, going, ugh, what a question to ask. But Sufi master, you can ask anything to any master from any tradition. It's sort of a given that you're free to ask. So this is going on, and it's pretty clear that Sufi master isn't really worried about this right now. He's he's with the people who love him like this, but they keep asking him, and he goes, yes, yes, yes. He goes, He says, I don't have any money. What am I going to do? And suddenly he hears this young boy outside selling a kind of candy, halwa, wonderful candy. I think I don't know what kind it is. I think it's the tahini and honey combination. I've never made it. But he says, oh, bring that boy in here. So he comes in and he looks around and his eyes light up like he's going to have, a great opportunity to sell his candy, right? He's been invited in. And the master says, give a piece of candy to everyone. And he goes, hands it out, hands it out, hands it out. And it's all gone. And the master goes, thank you. It's a great gift. And he goes, no, my master will beat me if I don't come back with the money. And he starts crying, wailing to be paid out of fear for what his master is going to do to him. And this wailing goes on, and finally and the master's going, I just don't have any money. Sorry, But suddenly walks in a couple of very, very wealthy devotees who have traveled a long distance, hearing that their master was dying. And they walk in, and the master says, oh, I have this problem. Could you help? And of course, they're happy to help. They pay the young boy who's really happy. They pay the creditors who are really happy. And then, then it just becomes this love fest. And one of the devotees, says to the master, what just happened there? The master says, oh, he says, I didn't really care if the creditors got paid or not. He just didn't care. They're wealthy. They can lose the money. It's not a big deal. It's just their stuff going on. He said, but, I saw the boy out there and I knew he would cry if he wasn't paid. So I invited him in, and the cry of an innocent heart is always heard by the one heart. And I wanted to see my favorite donors, and I knew something would happen here to fulfill this cry of this pure heart. So that's what I did. I invited that cry of a pure heart. Quite a story, huh? Quite a story. So could our hearts cry for this new humanity? That's where I always take this story. Where could our pure, innocent hearts cry? For what vision, for what ideal? Thank you, Cindy. Cindy's a very old friend of mine. I think you're in Oregon, I think, from the releasing community. We have a lot of people from the releasing process, that emotional intelligence workshop that I mentioned that I used to teach. Yeah, there's Bobby also. So I think with this, we're just going to say, God bless us all. See you guys on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Much love to us all.